All right, great. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so fat, juicy deals. This is like a fun name we came up with in particular for the disposition side of the business. So basically in wholesaling, you have acquisitions that are talking to sellers or talking to agents, finding the properties, getting them under contract. And then on the dispo side, you have investors that are working with buyers to buy the house. They might be buying it for a fix and flip. They might be buying it for a rental. But our team, as well as the buyers, they're looking for fat, juicy deals, deals with meat on the bones, right? So that's the idea behind it. But there's a lot of ways that you can do this business. And we built this in particular because we saw holes in other models and we wanted to come up with a solution that closed the gap on some of these challenges that other teams that we noticed when working with other teams and with individuals. So I don't know if you guys have gone through the elephant challenge with
We were
pace.
just,
Yes, we did this last one.
Okay, so there's already been, I think this was the third one, and since the beginning, after the elephant challenge, it gets people introduced into investing, in particular on market investing. They're getting offers out, and myself and others that have been doing this, they'll bring us potential deals to help, that we can help them find a buyer with and help them make the deal go through. And after analyzing the deal, we realized that it's not really a deal. And so a lot of the, what Pace calls baby elephants, people that are starting out, are kind of struggling to be able to put all the pieces together to make sure that it's actually happening for them and make deals roll. Find the right property, analyze it right, talk to the agent in the right way to build that rapport and get a good deal under contract. And then of course the dispo side. So we built this system to help newbies in particular so that they can get rolling fast. They can not have to worry about the entire stretch of what you need to do, the conveyor belt, but just one little roll, one piece of the puzzle. And then from there, after they perfect that, they move to the next piece. And after they perfect that, they move to the next. So this is basically a team that we've built so that it helps people start from square one and move to 3 to 4 and etc. So the idea behind it is you don't have to have any money. You don't have to invest in a mentorship to get rolling. I invested, I'm part of Sub 2 and I've invested in other mentorships as well. But with this, what we want is everyone to be able to come in and do one role and be good at it and then move to the next. And instead of having to pay for the mentorship, that you actually get paid for producing. Make sense?
Yep.
So these are the challenges that different people are facing. Number one, the whole idea of the elephant challenge, they call it that as in how to eat an elephant, one bite at a time, right? Well, there's a lot of bites. So if you're only having an elephant challenge once a month and you eat one more bite, how many months will it take to get rolling? So part of the challenge is it's taking too long for everyone to actually get rolling. The elephant challenge is great as an introduction into the business, but that's not sufficient to actually get people producing. And another challenge is that, in the analysis, they're putting deals under contract that are either, they're analyzing it too strict or too loose. And what I mean by that is they either say, this deal is worth 100,000 when it's really worth 200,000. So they make the offer of 100 and they don't get it because they're just too lowball. Or they offer 250 and they get it, but no buyer is going to buy it because they contracted it too high. So the analysis part of it is a little bit challenging for people to get the hang of up front. And then also deals that are hard to dispo. They might be hard to find a buyer simply because of the analysis aspect, but there's other reasons too. Like it could be out in nowhere land. So if there's no flips going around there, it's a lot tougher to find somebody that wants to buy it to fix and flip it. Make sense?
Yep.
Or in this market that we're in right now, we're hitting an era of recession and the prices are going down on homes. Some areas are hit worse than others, but it's going to get a little bit worse because of the interest rates rising, because of, interest rates rising, inflation. Those things are making it harder for the buyers to actually buy. And as house prices go down, interest rates go up, it just makes it more and more challenging. So because of that, a lot of buyers are not wanting gut jobs that take too long. You got to get permits. It takes 5 or 6 months. If you tear down too much walls, you never know what you're going to run into. So when people are putting these under contract, it's challenging to find buyers for that sort of a deal. So this is, these are some of the things that people are facing. Another one is that there's just, there's 6,000 people that signed up for the Elephant Challenge, but there's 6,000 people running around doing their own thing. And, myself and my partner, Alex, we've been trying to help different people with helping them analyze deals and telling them, yeah, you got to go back. This isn't, you're gonna have to renegotiate or find a different area. This area is no good. But we've helped out so many people that in the end, there's no systematic approach for them to really make progress. So that's the idea behind this. And then others, because of lack of experience, they get stuck in this analysis paralysis and they're just learning. So they'll watch Pace, they'll watch Jamil, they'll watch Jerry Norton, they'll watch Brett, they'll watch, there's 100 of them out there, right? So you can spend forever learning and not getting anything done. So, and then the last thing is just inefficiencies of trying to work on your own as opposed to working with a team, an assembly line or conveyor belt type of an approach. So another question that a lot of people ask is, can you make money on MLS properties, on market properties, in particular using Privy, which is what the Elephant Challenge is all about? The answer is yes, and here's some proofs of concept for that. So Michelle and Paul, they're a couple and they built a team. They have a very small acquisition team that they work with more in a one-on-one basis to make sure they're bringing in the right deals. So they train them up how to negotiate, how to analyze, and they have this little team that's producing that they do high 6 or 7 figures annually. That's what their income level is at this point. They do it very, very part-time. So well, when I did this slideshow, it's about a month ago, they were in Greece at that point in time. They spend a month in one place and then they go to another place for another month. So they just travel the world and try to, they basically, their lifestyle says, I don't want real estate investing to consume me. I want it to make a lifestyle for me, which I really admire. I like that. But everyone has their own philosophy of how they want to do real estate, right? But this shows that even as a part-time small team, you can make really good money. They're using Privy. This is the exact tool that we're using, the Elephant Challenge used, that they're using. Mahmoud, he's also using Privy. He has 2 methodologies that he uses. One is with Privy, where he does this exact thing that we're doing of submitting deals in Privy, through the agents, and some of those, percentage of the deals of the offers turn into deals. But he's also building a network. So part of his 1.2 mil comes from his agent network and part through new, fresh privy offers. And then Ryan Solon, again, he's got several ways he does it. He uses privy to build his agent network, referral network. He has a $1.2 million wholesale business, but he's got a $6 million real estate business. So he also does fix and flips as, a big portion of his income. But that's the proof of concept of people that are, they've been doing this for a while, using privy, they've got their systems down, and they're making good money doing it. So that's what our goals are with this. This is something we just put together a few weeks ago. So we're still sounding it down and getting the machine well lubricated, working out the bugs. But this is the path that we're building for everyone coming in here. We want to help newbies to make 6 figures pretty much right away. As soon as you get your training down and you understand how to do the workflow, if you work full-time with this, you should be making 6 figures. And we'll show you more how to do that. And then after, the next goal is that you have a growth path. So you may start as a property finder, but the goal after that is to move to acquisitions. And as an acquisition manager, you're now managing your own team of property finders. So because of that, you should be able to make $300K annually as a full-time acquisitions manager. I'm saying full-time not because you have to, but that's how much you should expect to earn if you were working full-time. So if you're working only half of full-time, you can cut that pay in half to get an idea of how much you should make. So part-time acquisitions managers should make 150K. Once you move to disposition, as a disposition manager, now you're managing your acquisition team. And that acquisition team, each one of them is managing their own property finder team. So the idea behind that is now you've got a fairly decent sized team below you that's feeding you deals. So because of that, you should be able to make that $1 million as a disposition manager. But what we want to do after that is basically we have one team manager at this point in time. So that team manager manages 3 disposition managers. And the 3 disposition managers manage, each of them manage about 3 acquisition managers and so on down. So the team manager, because they have a larger team, they should make about 3 million annually as a full-time team manager. But the team manager's main role is to keep the whole team balanced so that everyone has a good workflow, as well as to train up her disposition people and build that disposition network so that as deals come into the pipeline, it's easy to dispo them. It's easy to find the buyers for them. So the third goal is to remove any time wasters, bad deals that, we don't want to put bad deals under contract. We don't want to waste an hour or more on a bad deal. We don't want to overlap our workflow, like have multiple property finders competing against each other within our walls for the same properties or other inefficiencies. And we want to create a steady, the fourth one is to create a quality deal stream. So a steady flow of offers that convert to contracts that convert to closed deals. And we want it to be, all these deals to be more and more profitable as we move along because of having enhanced agent resource, referral list, as well as an enhanced buyer list, as well as deals that are easy to dispo. Does that make sense? Any questions before we move forward?
I think that makes sense.
It makes sense. I have a few questions.
Sure, yeah.
I just got home, so I'll put my video up. So Ralph, you were saying this started a few weeks ago, right? What's your role in the group?
So I'm one of the owners, and what I am doing is I'm troubleshooting whatever is not working well and trying to improve it. So what I've been focusing on the last week primarily is training. So we just did a new training yesterday for the property finders, and we're going to be doing a new training for the acquisitions probably in 2 days. I also work on onboarding and sourcing new recruits. So I do a deal or no deal every week to help people to analyze. And this is for everybody in the free Creative Finance with Pace Morby Facebook group, as well as everybody on the Elephant Discord group. So I'm consistently putting out new feelers to recruit people in, as well as helping the training get up. I work with Lynn Bell. She is the team manager. So I help her with her roles. My partner, Alex, he's primarily working as an operator in the business, monitoring all the communications and helping anybody that needs help. We're building out the different technologies to make this roll smoothly. So there's various pieces of technology behind it, such as RE Simply, which is the CRM, Discord, the email system that we have set up, the training system, a learning management system. So, different things to make it flow smooth.
Yeah, thank you. Do you think these numbers that you're saying about like make the income are realistic? Are they like numbers that are happening already, or they are like numbers that we hope that people can achieve with time?
Yeah, let me put it this way. They are achievable numbers. We're not there yet, but I'll show you how I say that they're achievable. Okay.
Okay. Oh, another question. How often do you do the training for newbies?
You mean this training here or the acquisition or the
No, the lead generator, which is the step one, right? For people joining.
Yeah. So I did an initial one to train up the initial group, and then I posted the replay for newbies. However, I found that was not sufficient. So now I'm going to be doing it every week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Ralph, how many do you put the teams together? Is it just based on who I guess signs up at the same time, or how are the teams put together?
So first off, Alex, who acts as the operator, he will assign the particular role based on your experience level. So if you are a newbie, you'll be a property finder. But if your experience level is higher, then you might come in as acquisition, or you might come in as disposition, or potentially a team manager. But depending on that role, on your experience and your qualifications, he'll assign you that role. Then he passes it off to Lynn. Lynn, as a team manager, she basically balances out the teams to make sure there's not too many property finders for any one market, and to make sure that you have a layer of property finders, and then a layer of acquisition managers that are managing those property finders, and then dispose, that is all well balanced so that everyone can have a nice workflow available to them.
Okay. And how long, I guess, have the current teams, or how many teams are there currently?
There's only one team currently. So,
okay. I see.
Yeah. So somewhere around 3 to 4 weeks ago, it might have been 3 weeks. I think it was 3 weeks when we did our initial opening. So this PowerPoint that I'm showing you right now, I showed it initially 3 weeks ago, and now I'm doing it weekly for new people coming in the door. So we didn't actually open the doors, after we did it 3 weeks ago, we spent the next week with getting everybody signed up with their JV agreement, and putting all the pieces in place, completing their roles and access in the different software. So we only opened our doors actually to start doing offers 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And then last week was a slow week because people are still trying to figure it out. And we found that the training was not sufficient. So, after getting all the feedback of how people are doing, what are they struggling with, we did a retraining last Monday. And so now the days are so long. Today is what, Tuesday or Wednesday?
It's Tuesday today.
Tuesday. I say last Monday, but it was yesterday. But yeah, so we did a retraining yesterday. And so as of yesterday, we're starting to see more offers coming into the system.
And then how much of the time commitment, 'cause for me personally, I work, full time, what is the time commitment, I guess, to be on the team?
Yeah. So 15 hours is the minimum, 15 hours
Okay.
weekly. So, if you can't commit 15 is probably not going to be worth your time.
15 hours a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the idea behind that is you need repetition to get better.
Right.
You can watch videos, you can learn from people, you can get training, but the only way you're really going to get good is to actually do it. And
Right.
so if you
Right.
can devote, 15 hours is basically what, 3 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
So,
I feel like I'm putting way more than that now. So just
okay.
in like watching videos. So
Yeah. Yeah. And we don't want to discourage people from learning, but at the same time, there's what's called income producing activity, right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
watching videos and learning is not income producing activity. So you
Right.
have to balance out how much of your time that you're dedicating to real estate are you doing the learning versus doing the income producing activity. So our
Right.
goal is to get you to spend 15 plus hours a week on this income producing activity and actually make income.
Okay. And most of the team members, do you happen to know if any of them are working full time? Just for my reference.
Yeah, there are some property finders that are working full time
Okay.
and some of the others, pardon me, but what you'll find is as you gain more experience and as you start developing your own income from this, then you'll start moving away from your more time at a W-2 at
Mhm.
a paid job situation and more time over here, less time over there, more time over here. Because it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what pays, how are you going to get a job on a W-2 that pays you $1 million a year?
Right. That's the goal. That's definitely the goal. Okay.
Right. So that's the idea. And we, a lot of times coming in the door and never doing this before, you're number one, you're not going to have the income to be able to quit. Number
Right.
two, you don't have the confidence to be able to quit.
Right.
So
Exactly.
if you start doing this part-time, then you should start building up an income. And then as you start getting more deals under your belt, you'll do one of two things. You'll either be able to free up more time from your W-2 or your life in general, or you might do so good with your part-time that you actually move to acquisitions and start making triple the money, and then you can quit your W-2.
Right. Yep. Yep. And how long is there do you have like an expected or standard time frame where you would expect people to move? Because I definitely would be the the property finder, which is with very little experience. Is there kind of like a time frame you would expect for somebody to move from a property finder to the next role, or is that just depend?
It most definitely depends. I'm going to give you a little insight on me and my personality. I don't know if any of you watch Grant Cardone.
I have watched some of his videos.
Yeah. So Grant, he's under the philosophy of 10x it, right?
Mhm.
Aim for 10x because you're not going to get 10x, but you
Right.
might get 8x. And by
Yeah.
aiming for 10x, you get more than if you had tried to aim for 3x.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what my goal is for all of you to advance in 3 months. Is that realistic? Probably not. But
Right.
I like to help people. If they want to be pushed, I'll push them. And I want them to get to the next level. I'm busy recruiting more people in the door because I want to have multiple opportunities to advance. So
Right.
if there's no newbies coming in the door, then that means you can't advance because we won't need more acquisition managers and more dispo and more team managers. So my main goal of recruiting is to give you that opportunity. As I'm getting more people in, more property finders, those that have been working as a property finder for 3 months, then they can move on to be an acquisition manager. And then 3 months later, move on to be a disposition manager. So is 3 months realistic? Maybe not. And we're too early in this process to really give you facts to tell you if it's realistic or not. But I see that as potentially realistic if you really pour yourself into it.
Got it. And then Privy is Privy the only application we would need to have, or are there other
That's
things
the
that
only one. No, that's all you need.
Okay.
And you know, after we get rolling, after we get money flow, we would love to pay that for you guys so that nobody would have to even pay for Privy. We're not there yet. We can't do
Right.
that, but
Right.
but that's our goal. But that is something that you'll need to have. Yeah.
Okay.
I had a quick question too.
Yeah.
If so, like, I mean, so what we're doing essentially then is only looking for on-market leads with Privy.
Correct. At this point in time, yeah. We're going to be opening up other channels for finding properties, but we're building off of the foundation that Pace Morby is building of this knowledge base, utilizing Privy and utilizing the Elephant Challenge so that people coming in the door, they have somewhat of a foundation and aren't starting out knowing nothing at all.
Right. Okay. That sounds good. And I apologize, I was late and everything. It's been a night with my kids, so I'm gonna be on and off. Yeah.
I have 3 kids myself, and I'm a family person, so I support you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Especially if any of you are single moms, my heart goes out to you. You know, my wife, she gets overwhelmed with just 3 kids and she's not a single mom. It's hard for me to fathom how much single moms go through.
I think luckily we're not single, so we're happy about that, I'm sure.
All right, so moving to the next slide, the benefits that this provides, just to give a quick overview, there's benefits for all the different roles. As newbies, you get the personal attention that you need to get productive. The idea behind this is that you have an acquisition manager that you work directly with, and you can ask that acquisition manager any question you have. As you're trying to analyze a property, after you have a conversation with an agent and you're not sure how it went, you can ask them for feedback. You know, anything you want, that acquisition manager is there for you. They're your leader so that you can progress more quickly. Another benefit is that you can make 100K with this, and I'll explain that in more detail in a slide coming up. You also have efficient deal flow without overlap. So the dispo managers are assigning each of the acquisition managers territory, and each of the acquisition managers are assigning the property finders territory. That way, you know you're not competing with your own teammates. So, you know, as we get bigger and bigger, that's going to become more important, so that, you know, we're not stepping on each other's toes, but we're helping each other out. And then as well, your you're pursuing deals that are actually closable, that buyers want, and that we are building a buyer's list in that market. So we are currently in 3 different markets. We're in Jacksonville, Atlanta, and Dallas. That's all we do. So, you know, we don't, if you're pursuing a deal in Hawaii, then for us, it's not closable. It's closable for somebody else that's doing Hawaii, but we're not. So we're putting our teams where we're focused. Because if you bring a deal into this conveyor belt, we want to make sure that there's a profitable exit to that deal at the end of the conveyor belt. For acquisition managers, the advantage is they have a team below them that's feeding them warm, pre-filtered leads, filtered for their motivation. That we know that that seller is motivated enough to negotiate. And then as well, acquisition managers are focused on their tasks, which is negotiating and closing the deals. They're not focused on finding the leads, which is the property finder task. And they can make $300K as an acquisition manager. Dispo, their advantages is now they don't have to worry about acquisition at all, or who's going to provide a lead and when. They have a team underneath them and a steady deal flow, so they don't have to go looking for the deal to dispo. It's provided to them. And as well, they have these the deals. They're working with their acquisition team to make sure that the deals are profitable, so that the buyers that buy them will get a good profit off of it, and we'll get a good profit off of it. And they can pool the buyers and warm them up together. So right now we only have 1 dispo per market, 1 dispo in Dallas, 1 dispo in Jacksonville, and 1 in Atlanta. But as we start building this team bigger and we start doing off market, we'll have multiple dispos for each market, and they'll pool their dispo, their buyer list together, and they'll keep them warm together. So as a brand, they'll recognize us, and it'll be easier to dispo because they trust us. And then as a team manager, they have a sizable team below them that they can manage and build. I don't know if you know, Jamil has his own franchise. So if you wanted to be an Astro franchise, you can do that, but it costs money. So of course, with the purchase of a franchise, you put money out, and that's a sizable chunk of money. There's risk involved with that. Well, as a team manager, you basically get your own franchise, so to speak, your own team, as if you had bought a franchise, but you don't have to pay for it. And you're not, you're making money on it instead of having the risk of paying for it. So an amount that they can make as a team manager is 3 times the amount of Ryan and Mahmood that we showed you in the previous slide.
Quick question also.
Yeah.
So are we going to be trained in like where to spot like creative financing deals, so that we're not like just passing over those opportunities to pass upwards?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
So
cool.
if you submit an offer on a deal that ends up being a creative finance deal, you'll be paid on it regardless of how it ends up. So you'll make the initial offer, and the initial offer is primarily going to be a cash offer. However, it can be turned into a creative offer. The way people's heads work in this industry, people that are sellers, they 9 times out of 10, or even more often, they want the cash deal. They don't understand creative. They may not want it at first. So it takes a little bit of talking to them before they're ready to do a creative deal, more often than not. So you guys as property finders would be doing the initial cash offer, but regardless, you're going to get paid your percent, whether it ends up being a creative deal or a cash deal. Does that make sense?
Yes, I have a question, another question. Do we have access to the offers of the leads we find so that we learn how the whole process is happening? Or do we just literally just find the leads, pass it on and wait for an answer?
Well, you have access to your acquisition manager. So there, the team is tight. You need to have regular communication with them. As you submit deals and you find, you want feedback on your deals, talk to them and they'll tell you how your deals are, if they're moving forward, if they're a dead end, and that way you'll have that feedback. At this point, we're not putting property finders into the CRM. They have a portal to submit deals, but their acquisition manager is just giving them feedback. Once we get this sounded down, when you open your doors and you get a flood of people in, for example, in the Elephant Challenge, there's 6,000 people that took the challenge, but half of them or 3/4 or more of them are not engaged. And that's just the reality.
Who's gonna stay? Who's gonna stay?
Yeah.
Who's gonna?
Yeah. So after we see who's going to really put the work in, who's going to stay, then we're going to start inviting people in as property finders into the actual CRM. But it's a lot of work behind the scenes for everybody that we have to set up for the CRM.
Yeah.
Any more questions there? Okay. So moving on to the deal funnel. I come from a marketing background, and in the world of marketing and sales, everything is a funnel. So you put opportunities into the top of the funnel, and then as the opportunities go through different steps of the funnel, it weeds people out. In the case of real estate, it's no different. There's offers that come in at the top of the funnel, and then after the offers, they turn into contracts, a few of them. And then a few of those contracts turn into deals. So the formula for this, according to Pace Morby, Jamil Damji, and Jerry Norton, is 100 offers equals 4 contracts equals 2 deals. So the numbers you see here, 10,000 offers, this represents the numbers that we expect to see per each team. So there's one team manager with all their people underneath her. And in that team, monthly, we expect to see 10,000 offers, 400 contracts, 200 deals. Make sense? And the 200 deals, the national average is 15K, but let's call it 10K. So if you take 200 times 10K, you're looking at 2 million, right? $2 million, is that right? I should have put that figure in there so I'd have it. 200 deals times 10,000. Yeah, 2 million. So that's how much we expect each team to pull in per month. Now getting into,
do you have a number of offers per day that you're expecting people to do?
Yep, I'll show you that in a minute. So here's how it breaks down. And this is why we broke it down into these different processes. So the property finder is this first area over here on the far left. They find the property, they talk to the agent, build rapport, gather the information, they analyze the deal, and they submit the offer. And they put that information into the CRM. Next is the acquisition manager. So the initial filter is simply putting in the offer. After that, the acquisition manager will continue to build rapport with that agent, gather any additional information they need, because as you're negotiating, sometimes new information comes out, and then they counter and they negotiate until they get a signed contract. So only about 20% of those offers are going to want to, they're going to be willing to negotiate. And then after that is the signed contract. So only about 20% of the signed contracts, I should say, of the people that are negotiating will actually get to the point of signing the contract. So now we're down to about 4%. overall that ends up being a signed contract. From there, the transaction coordinator steps in. They make sure that the earnest funds are available. You have to put down EMD, earnest money deposit, to lock up that contract. So they work with what PACE calls a gator lender or a transactional funder to make sure that money is there. And they also keep the contract moving. From there, the dispo managers, they'll syndicate the deal out, but only to buyers that match the buy box. So as they're building the buyer's database, they're taking down their information on what their buy box is. What beds and baths do they want? How big of a land do they want? What zip codes do they want to avoid? All this information, so that when we actually syndicate the deal out, we're only syndicating it to buyers that this deal matches their particular buy box. That way we don't become junk mail. And then from there, they actually call the buyers and say, hey, we just sent you this awesome deal. And because you're our guy, we would love for you to have it, and sell the deal to them. So building rapport with the buyers, in particular our VIP list. The buyers then will send somebody out to inspect the property. And once they like the property, if we have to renegotiate because there's a challenge we didn't realize, we'll renegotiate, get it, basically once the buyer is sold on it, they send us a assignment fee, a non-refundable fee that locks the deal up for them. That fee sits there in escrow until they actually close the deal. Once the deal closes, then we receive our entire assignment fee, and then all the expenses goes the different directions. And once we receive that assignment fee, we divide that assignment fee out to all the property finders, the acquisition, the dispo, the transaction coordinator, the gator lender, all the pieces that deserve a piece of this fee. Any questions there?
From this funnel that you're showing, so the top would be the lead generators, right?
Correct.
The 20%
property finders, yes.
Oh yeah. So and the bottom, the next step would be, who would be responsible for that?
The acquisition manager.
Okay.
And the acquisition manager is actually doing the two next blue, green, teal ones.
Okay.
And then when you go to the light green, that's the disposition.
Okay.
Throughout the process, after it goes into contract, the transaction coordinator is working alongside of everybody to make sure it gets accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, they're the ones that keep it flowing. But as far as the property finders, they're the blue at the top, acquisition, the next two, and then the disposition is the fourth.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Now you mentioned the transactional funders or the gators. Are those always out? Are they ever someone on the team who can act
Yeah.
as that? Thank you.
Yeah. So what we told our acquisition managers is, when you get it under contract, we want your team to have first opportunity to be the transactional lender. So between the one that brought the deal, the property finder that brought the deal to the table, and the acquisition manager, they get first divvy, first choice.
Oh, nice.
For that opportunity. And then after
Okay.
that, we open it up to the rest of our team. And then after that, we go out of our walls to find that transactional lender.
Got it.
Okay, so now we get into more about what you guys are doing specifically, which is making offers. Here's what Jerry Norton said. The purpose of making offers is not to get deals. We make offers to uncover a motivated seller. So basically what you're doing by making these offers is you are the first layer of the filter. You're actually the first two layers. So you see here on the right-hand side, it says motivation filter 1 is privy itself. So by adjusting the percent of ARV in privy, by adjusting the days on market, and by looking at signs such as price drops, those are already signals of motivation. So by filtering for that, you have a motivation filter right there. But secondly, as you're submitting offers, you're testing the waters and you're seeing who is ready to move. So by putting in multiple offers, even if they don't appear necessarily to be that close in price point, you're still testing the waters to see if they're motivated enough to negotiate. So your KPI is actually making offers. It's not closing contracts. It's not negotiating. It's not putting deals, anything else. Your KPI is making offers. A KPI, by the way, is a key performance indicator. It's a measuring stick so that you can test for yourself how well you're doing. So when you have income producing activity, you want some way to measure how well you're doing in that income producing activity. So the KPI tells you, how well am I doing? So with my hours, am I putting in enough offers so that I can make money? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the offers KPI, how many offers should you be making? Jerry Norton said 5 offers in less than 1 hour. Jamil and Ryan Solon said 10 offers out in under 2 hours. What they're both saying is 5 offers in less than an hour. We'll call it 5 offers an hour, which is 12 minutes per offer. I don't think that's really realistic. So instead of 5 per hour, I'm saying 3 per hour. And I will show you exactly how, you can watch theirs and see how they did 5 in an hour, but I'm going to show you how to do 3 in an hour. And initially you're not going to do 3 an hour. You might only get 1 an hour, but as you get better, then you do 2 an hour, and you get better and you do 3 an hour. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm trying to looking at those numbers, and we've been looking at properties and just from comping and trying to reach realtors that don't answer the phones. It doesn't seem possible, even if we wanted, even if we were quick.
Right.
It's like
I
we depend
understand.
on other things. I'm just, yeah.
We're going to show you in the training next Monday. Or you can watch the replay. We're going to show you how to do it much faster. So you can do your analysis. You can find the property and do the analysis in 5 minutes flat. And then from there, you can spend 10 minutes on the phone or 10 minutes between trying to reach the realtor and talking to the realtor. You really only need to have a short 5-minute conversation. Now, in some cases, you'll have a longer conversation and it can be fruitful, because then that conversation can lead to more deals. And then once you develop a relationship with a realtor, they'll start feeding you more deals that you don't even have to search for. So, don't skimp on that conversation. But for certain, you'll find that a lot of times the realtors are busy and they're right to the point, and you can knock out that conversation in 5 to 10 minutes. And then from that point, you just enter the information into the CRM portal and fill out the template and send it by email, and you're done. So 20 minutes is doable once you get the hang of it. Part of the hang of it is you have to be in control of the conversation. So if you're not in control of the conversation, it will stretch on. Or if you don't know how to analyze the deal, you'll spend a lot of time wasted because you simply don't know how to do it quick. But once you get the hang of it, really, it doesn't take but 5 minutes to analyze the deal. Okay. All right, so moving on to the next one. This kind of gives a layout of the entire organization. So on the far right here are the property finders. So this is set up basically on a 3-to-1 ratio if everyone was full-time. On the property finder side, we find more, the most of the people that are only able to dedicate 15 hours or 15 to 20 are property finders. On the acquisition, there's more people that can dedicate 21 to 30 or 31 or more. But as they become, further up the stream, then they already have, they're already flowing in real estate. Real estate is their business. They're not locked into a W-2. So the three property finders isn't realistic because of the fact that everyone's very part-time. So we're finding it's more like 6 property finders per acquisition. And then 3 acquisitions per dispo, 3 dispos per manager. Does that make sense? So the goal here of the property finder is to build rapport with the agent, filter for motivation, and submit offers. If you're full-time, 20 offers a day. If you're part-time, whatever your time allows you. Maybe it's only 5 offers a day. But if you can submit 100 offers, out of those 100, you should get 1 to 2 deals. If you're doing 5 offers a day, you should get 1 to 2 deals per month out of that. As an acquisition manager, you're negotiating and closing the leads that are brought to you by the property finder. So the acquisition manager should be able to get 12 contracts per week. And then as a dispo, they should be able to close 18 deals per week. And as a team manager, they should be doing 200 deals per month. I changed it to month because they're looking at it from a larger perspective. Now, with this setup, what you're seeing right here is that this is our overall game plan. We'll have 1 team manager per market. So Dallas will have a team manager. He'll be having 1 doing on-market MLS, 1 dispo doing FSBO, 1 dispo doing pre-foreclosure, and multiple channels feeding in new deals so that we fortify every market and make it stronger. So if you have 3 dispos in 1 market, then you have a really solid buyers list. And that benefits everybody to have that solid buyers list. Does that make sense? Any questions on this?
Do you have a buyers list? Are you still building your buy? I mean, I guess you're always building your buyers list, but are you confident with your buyers list for the 3 markets that you're in right now?
So our dispo people that came in the doors, they have already been doing deals. They brought in their own dispo, their own buyers list. Mm-hmm. And then they're consistently building more. Our regional manager, or I should say team manager, she's also helping them. So the buyers list is getting stronger day by day. Is it the strongest? Not at this point, but it's being fortified day by day. Any other questions? Okay, so here is the deal breakdown. Property finders make 11% of the deal. Acquisition managers make 13%. Disposition makes 15%. Managers make 17%. The gator lender, they don't work off of a percent. They typically work off of how much they lend. And more often than not, basically it's a double their money thing. So if they lend 1,000, then they make 1,000 of profit off of it. So it ends up being about $1,000, I'm sorry, 10% that they make. Transaction coordinator, same thing, they work off of a set fee. So they make about 8%. Our systems administrator makes 1%. Bookkeeper accounting make 1%. An operator, we're going to establish an operator that will, once we have multiple teams, they will be over all the teams to keep the whole system flowing. He'll make 7%. We also have some other things we have to institute still, such as we have to put in a, what do you call it? My mind just blanked out. There's one more position we have to fill, but I can't remember what it is now. And then overhead. Other than that, there should be about 14 or 15% once that's done for the actual LLC's profit, myself and my partner. And our role at that point is to keep building. So right now we only have MLS that we're working on, but our goal is to have, we're in 3 markets. So our goal is to be in all the major markets across the United States and have multiple channels of input in every market. So we have a steady influx of people and a steady growth pattern. That's where our workflow is going to be. But that's how we divide it out so that everyone gets their fair share of the actual deal. Any questions on this? Okay. So this shows where we're going with this. So we have an operator that will be managing the whole business. Right now, my partner is being the operator, but as soon as we can, we'll take him out to help build the channels, build the markets. We'll establish an operator, and then there'll be multiple markets in our system. We want to keep growing. We have, for our initial phase 1, 6 markets that we're wanting to put into motion. We have 3 right now. We're very close to opening up the 4th, but our goal is to have 6 for phase 1. And then after those 6, our next goal is to build out multiple channels per each market. And then once we get several channels established in those 6 markets, then keep stacking more and more markets so that each market will have multiple channels, multiple dispos, 1 dispo per channel. And then each dispo will have his 3 acquisitions. Each acquisition manager will have their team of lead generators or property finders. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so any questions? You know, basically this is what the whole thing is about. And we built it primarily to help out newbies to get flowing and have a growth path. We've got people on board now that for the dispo, and in particular for the dispo, the team manager, the systems admin guy as well, are very well experienced in the industry. And they came on board, even though we're just brand new with this whole arrangement, because they saw how good of a system this is. They're very enthused about getting in on the ground floor and being a part of this. So it's, you know, even though I can't tell you we've made millions of dollars yet, I can tell you that there's a lot of research that went into this, a lot of thought process and building to get this ready for you, so that you can have, you know, an opportunity to move forward that doesn't cost you a dime except for your privy, which is your own tool.
Mm-hmm.
So any questions you guys have?
I
That's
did
right. Yeah, go ahead,
I feel
Haley.
like I know all of us are very interested in doing, you know, creative finance, and we're planning to join the Sub2 community eventually when we're more comfortable with, you know, the property finder level. But like how does that play into like what we're doing here with you guys?
So on the creative finance side, that's going to come very, very shortly. Mike Jones, I don't know if you guys know Mike Jones. Okay,
Mhm.
so he had basically been administrating and built the Elephant Challenge Discord for Pace Morby. He's like a systems admin guy. So he is our systems admin guy, but he also, he is helping run the Gator funding group. So Pace uses him a lot for the Gator funding because of his experience level. And he's also done a lot of creative deals. So Mike, we talked to him today about heading up the creative finance side of our business. So we're in discussions to figure out how we're going to do that. But within the next 2 to 3 weeks, that should be laid out as well. So that as property finders are finding deals, acquisition is negotiating them. If it ends up being a creative deal, a property finder will get paid either way for their percent of the deal because they brought the deal into the system. Same thing with acquisition. But what we're looking at as far as a possibility, and again, there's nothing firmed up yet, but what we're looking at is that Mike will be the dispo manager specifically for creative finance. So he'll cross borders from all the different markets and just work the creative. I'm saying, that's our idea because we're in the thought process. We're in the think tank right now. And within a few weeks, 2-3 weeks, we want to have it implemented. Will this be exactly how it's implemented? Maybe, maybe not, but that's the idea. So yes, creative is definitely in the works. It's not firmed up yet, but it will be.
Okay, sounds great.
And as a growth path, after you go from property finder to acquisition, then, the property finder's main role is just to get the offers out there.
Right.
The acquisition is to negotiate and close. So when it comes to creative finance, that's where the acquisition is really going to come into play because they'll have to be negotiating creative finance deals.
Right. That's awesome.
And then of course, on the dispo side, there's buyers, they just want to fix and flip. They don't want to be involved with creative, but then there's other buyers that they only want creative. And there's other buyers that they want either or. So,
right.
It on the buyer side, it's more complicated. On the acquisition side, it's just a knowledge-based element. So the acquisition manager has to have that knowledge to know how to negotiate those creative deals. But Mike will be working with them, presumably, will be working with them to show them how to do the creatives so that we can dispo them.
Great. Awesome.
What time is the training on Monday?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time.
And how long does it usually take?
Well, the last one went really long. It went 2 hours. I try to keep it within an hour, but my goal is to answer any questions that people have. So, this one's supposed to be an hour or two. It's already an hour and 20, right? But we did
Sorry,
get
talking too much.
No. I want to, the whole idea of making this live is that you have the opportunity to ask your questions. So I originally thought I can record something, we can do the Q&A, I'll post that, the replay, so that the new people can just watch the replay. But I found that people need to do that question and answer. So
it's a different experience when you actually get to engage and ask the questions.
it is, yeah. And property finders are welcome to keep coming to the Monday training. They don't have to. It's not a once and done. They're welcome to come as many times as they want to.
Awesome.
Because I won't be able this coming Monday, but I can plan for the other Monday to do it.
Yeah. Well, watch the replay and then from there, come to the next one, whatever works for you.
That sounds good to me.
I don't know, Melissa, if you have any questions, if you're hearing.
No questions. I'm driving right now, but
Okay.
I don't have, no additional questions. I think it sounds like a great program. So I would,
All right.
and I think I can make this Monday's training.
Cool. So you see the link up there, fatjuicydeals.com, count-me-in. And when you go to that page, you'll see a a form that you can fill out. And in that form is where we gather the information about your experience, your available time, your contact information, and your commitment. And then once we get that information and commitment, you'll be redirected to a URL where you can actually download that JV agreement that you can sign. And that'll be your first step, is to sign the JV. And then you can come to that training on Monday. And then once that's done, then they'll get you into the system. They'll get you all your connections, the Discord. That's how we communicate, is within Discord. You'll be assigned to an acquisition manager and a team, and you'll have access to that and to our training area and everything that you need to get rolling. And your email, we'll set you up with, basically you're going to share an email with acquisition manager. So the acquisition manager, as you submit deals, they'll be able to see those deals being submitted in their mailbox. And then as the agents reply back and they counter in the email, the acquisition manager can pick up the ball and keep rolling it with the negotiations. And then yourselves, as you're talking to the agent, they might just call you back because you talked to them. And then they counter with another number. And you just tell them, well, I'm going to have to refer that to my acquisition manager. Or you can say, I'll have to refer that to my underwriter. And they'll look at the numbers a lot closer to see if we can go to that number or not. And that way, you can step away from the deal and you can work on the next deal. Because your role is basically to keep getting more and more offers.
I heard, I think in another Zoom video that you did that I watched partially, that we would get paid and receive a 1099, right? And that's
Correct.
how, okay. Can you put down our LL, because we all have LLCs instead
Yeah,
of,
absolutely. When you fill out the JV agreement, you can put your LLC into the JV agreement. So
okay.
whatever you put in there is who we'll pay to.
Okay. Okay, I think those were the questions. I'm excited. Yeah, let's make it work.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you on board, and we look forward to your input. This is brand new, it's only a couple weeks old, and we're still figuring out where we need to grease the wheels more, where we need to make adjustments or improve training or whatever. So please provide that input. You can talk to me directly for that sort of thing. Your day-to-day tasks, you'll have your acquisition manager that you work with, but my role specifically is to try to make this whole system better and better and better.
Awesome.
That's exciting to be part of the beginning of this growth.
Well, we're excited to have you guys on board.
Thank you, Ralph, for your time.
You're welcome. Boa noite.
Boa noite.
Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ciao.
Ciao.